So, Julia, Interstellar, we watched it, we've seen it.
Yep.
What was the plot of it, Julia?
Oh, that's a very good question.
That's why I asked
it. So there's a man.
Is there?
And he has 2 kids.
Who plays the man? Oh, you can do this.
Matthew, I don't know how to say his surname.
McConaughey.
That one. He's the main guy of this film.
And sorry to interrupt you so early in again. But who plays the son? Who plays his son?
Timothy Chalamet.
There's a man who you can't say his name. You must sing his name. It's the same way with Matthew McConaughey, that you have to do the accent on the end. Certain actors like this, I don't know, but we both went Italian for the surname of McConaughey. So Julia, anyway, back to the recap.
Yeah, and also the daughter.
Oh, here we go. Okay, not back to the recap.
Do you know who plays the daughter?
Who plays the daughter?
It's the child from Twilight, Bella Swan's child.
You know, I've only seen the first Twilight, and if my memory serves me right, there was no child.
No, but the people that have seen Twilight all the way
Shout out to you guys.
Shout out, guys. The daughter who, you know, when they like edited her face, do you remember that whole thing? Her. She's in it.
Really?
She's the daughter.
That's a good fact.
Yeah.
I did not know that fact,
No?
and now I do know that fact.
Okay, back to the summary.
Anyway, yeah.
The earth is dying, the crops are dying, there's like some pest or something that is just killing off the crops, and they're trying to survive on the corn, because that's the only thing that's okay to eat, apparently.
Every bit of me tried their absolute hardest not to do the TikTok corn kid reference during that. I was like, it's dated, it's over, but I've never had a better reason to do it.
You should have done it. I mean, it's late now. It's too late now.
It's too late now. The joke's dead.
Yep. And then what happens next?
Sorry, go on.
What does happen next?
He leaves. Well, he goes into the special place where they... Okay, I'll level with you guys, the listeners. I'm turning the mic to myself. I didn't watch this movie again. I watched this movie for the first time about 2 years ago. Loved it. Enjoyed it a lot. Since then, haven't really thought about it until Julia said, well, I haven't seen Interstellar. And I went...
You've got to see this.
And so I'm really scraping the back of my mind for plot details on this. I remember Timmy. I remember Anne Hathaway. I remember Casey Affleck is in this for about 0.5 seconds. That's about it. Okay, so back to Julia.
Yeah. Okay, so then they find some kind of weird Morse code from their bookshelf thing.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my God, it's not a message, it's coordinates. And then they go to that place. And then it's some kind of military government base, and they're trying to they've got a mission to go and find another planet to live on.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my God, you should be the one to go to Matthew.
To Matthew, Mr. McConaughey.
And he's like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, when in Rome. When in Texas, Florida. Where do you think this is set? Kentucky. Oh, Julia's got it written down. Julia's checked her notes. You've searched this up. Our minds are really in sync. we as one are Justin Timberlake. In sync. It's a classic joke.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry, I keep interrupting your plot.
Anyway, he goes off. The daughter's like, no, you bitch, you can't go and leave me.
Those exact words.
Exactly like that. And then he leaves, and then he's on that rocket. They're out. They find some planets. People die.
Matt Damon shows up.
Oh yeah, that was a jump scare.
Matt Damon jump scare. Big. This Thor Ragnarok. Matt Damon has a thing for cameos nowadays. He doesn't commit to a whole shoot. He commits to a day. He commits to a day, and boy does he commit to that day. Him in Thor Ragnarok, Oscar worthy.
Honestly.
And fucking Love and Thunder shows up again, doesn't he? Yeah, he does. And then Melissa McCarthy shows up. Love and Thunder, maybe the weirdest film I've ever seen. Describing it like that, weird.
Yep.
Screaming goats, interesting choice, Taika. Interesting. Anyway,
interesting.
Back to it.
And then midway through, because the time is different in space, whatever.
Yeah, it's
so they get messages from their kids, videos, and they're like, "Oh my God, they've grown." And then Matthew's crying because his daughter's his age.
Yeah, that was brutal. That was a brutal scene.
That was.
Speaking of the time being different on different planets, do you know a fun fact about the score of this film?
No.
It's Hans Zimmer. Big up Hans Zimmer. We love him. There's a documentary coming out that's I think is directed by Steven Spielberg about Hans Zimmer. He, in the background of the scene where they're like, "That's not a mountain, that's a wave." You hear a click, a tick each time, and that's I can't remember if it's a day or an hour passing on Earth. Like each click of the score equates to like the time that.
Damn.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Damn.
That's a yeah.
Wasn't like an hour on that planet because it was like the water planet, right?
Yeah,
it was like
yeah. It was something.
10, 15 years. Or
Once
something?
again, I'll remind the listeners, I watched this about 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
so I don't know why I'm asking you. Yeah.
Okay, so what would you rate this movie?
Oh, let me just get me phone
Out of 10. And do you know what? I'm gonna click on my notes and find what I rated it about 2 years ago when I watched it. Okay.
That's all right.
Interstellar.
I like that you're sounding it out, so you know how to rate it.
Yeah, well, I'm just a bit confused. Oh my god, why haven't I seen this movie? Wait. Go on.
Okay, so I put it in as a 7.1.
Okay, that's quite
Which is
good
quite
for you.
high.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
I think it's because I actually paid attention. I didn't go on my phone. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm not going to go on my phone. I'm going to watch it. I just kind of didn't have the need to go on my phone because I was like, oh, this is interesting. What's
This
going
is
to
a good
happen? What's gonna
time.
happen?
Yeah.
Like, there was points where I was like, oh my God, hurry up.
But there's a lot of like twists and stuff, and like
There's,
a lot
nice
of like
plot twists, yeah.
the plot, from what I remember, does move at like a pretty like somewhat rapid pace. Like, but once you get past like him going into space,
Yeah.
like
That was the longest bit, I
there's
think,
a, yeah,
the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
And then it just
The
kind of...
setup and everything
Yeah.
flew off.
Yeah, literally.